If you've ever felt overlooked, underestimated, or dismissed, this video will change how the world sees you forever, because by the end of it, you'll understand how to command power, respect, and influence, not by being liked, but by being feared. And no, this isn't about becoming cruel or evil. It's about understanding the rules of power that are already being used against you and using them first. Right now, someone less qualified than you is getting the promotion. Someone louder is being heard more. Someone colder is being respected more. And the truth is, most people don't get ahead because they're talented. They get ahead because they understand how power really works. We're taught that being nice, agreeable, and generous is the path to influence. But the reality, niceness is a currency with a rapidly dropping value. If you don't learn what Machiavelli taught about fear, power, and control, you'll keep playing by rules designed to keep you small. But if you stay with me, you'll learn the blueprint Machiavelli gave to rulers, tyrants, generals, and CEOs for over 500 years, and how you can ethically use those same principles in your life, no matter your profession. This video isn't just philosophy, it's a field manual, and by the end, you'll have a complete toolkit to make people respect your presence, honor your boundaries, and never, ever underestimate you again. Because here's the truth, you don't rise by being liked, you rise by being respected, and respect is born from one thing. We'll get to that. So stay with me until the very end, because I'm going to show you the single most important shift in mindset, one that transforms ordinary people into unshakable leaders. Miss this, and everything else falls apart. First, we need to understand what fear actually is. Most people think fear is about threats, intimidation, or violence. It's not. Fear is about one thing above all else: predictability. When someone is feared, people know that crossing them has consequences. There's no guessing, no grey area. Fear is what happens when someone has made it clear that they are not to be trifled with, and then followed through consistently. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. In his legendary work, The Prince, Machiavelli wrote, "It is much safer to be feared than loved, if one must choose." That line has been misunderstood for centuries. He didn't mean you should aim to be a tyrant. He meant that fear, when used properly, is more reliable than love when it comes to maintaining control, order, and authority. Love is a gift people give you. Fear is something you create through action and clarity. Take Genghis Khan, for example. He was one of the most feared leaders in history, but he wasn't feared because he was random or cruel for no reason. He was feared because he was consistent. When his enemies surrendered, he spared them. He welcomed their leaders into his empire and gave them positions of power. But when they resisted, he annihilated them without hesitation. This wasn't madness, it was strategy. People feared him because they knew what would happen if they crossed him, and they respected him because he treated loyalty with fairness. Remember, stay with me until the end, because soon we're going to unpack the biggest mistake people make when trying to be respected. And it's probably something you're doing without realizing it. Now, let's clear up a myth that stops a lot of people from stepping into their own power. The idea that you have to choose between being loved or being feared. This is a false dichotomy. Machiavelli never said, "Don't be loved." He said, "Don't rely on love." Love is voluntary. It fades. It's fickle. Fear, on the other hand, creates consistency. When people fear disappointing you, failing you, or crossing you, they behave differently. They think twice. They show up sharper. Love makes people comfortable. Fear makes people careful. But there's a question hanging in the air right now, and it's one most people struggle with. Can you be feared without being hated? The answer is yes, and this is where the art comes in. There are 5 essential principles that allow you to create fear without breeding resentment. Let's explore each one. And as we go, imagine how they might apply in your daily life, at work, in friendships, even in family dynamics. The first principle is clarity of boundaries. If people don't know where the line is, they'll test it. But when you are crystal clear about your expectations, your limits, and your values, people begin to self-regulate. They don't push your buttons because they already know what happens when they do. Fear isn't about yelling or punishing. It's about defining reality. For instance, in a workplace setting, if your team knows you expect deadlines to be met and that missing them will mean fewer responsibilities or public recognition, they'll work harder to stay in your good graces. In your personal life, if someone repeatedly drains your energy or disrespects your time, and you set a firm line, like not responding outside certain hours, they'll start respecting those limits. Boundaries are the borders of power, and when you defend them consistently, people stop testing them. The second principle is cold logic over emotional reaction. The moment people see you lose control emotionally, they know they can influence you. Machiavellian fear comes from restraint, not rage. When someone crosses you and you respond not with a tantrum, but with a calm, calculated consequence, they begin to see you as someone not to mess with. Think about the difference between a parent who screams and one who calmly enforces discipline. The latter leaves a stronger impression. In your daily life, this might mean taking a pause when you receive a passive-aggressive email instead of firing back. You wait, assess, and respond with strategic clarity. You maintain composure. Your power comes not from how loudly you speak, but from how firmly you act. The third principle is reward loyalty publicly, punish betrayal privately. People don't fear those who humiliate, they hate them. Machiavelli advised rulers to avoid unnecessary cruelty and never to offend in ways that inspire revenge. When someone betrays you or undermines you, don't explode publicly. Handle it quietly, surgically, but make it known that disloyalty has a price. In your job, if a colleague throws you under the bus in a meeting, don't lash out in front of others. Instead, withdraw your support for their projects. Let them feel the loss of your alliance. Conversely, when someone supports you or shows respect, elevate them. Mention their contributions. Send them a note. People remember how you made them feel, and they remember the consequences of crossing you. The fourth principle is lead through discipline. A feared leader doesn't demand more from others than they demand from themselves. They lead by example. If you're asking your team to stay sharp and meet deadlines, they better see you doing the same. If you want your family to respect your boundaries, you have to respect theirs too. Discipline shows that your standards aren't just rules for others, they're rules for you. When people see that you don't compromise on your own values, they start to align themselves with your vision because they recognize the strength behind it. In your day-to-day, this might mean showing up early or consistently following through on promises. It builds a foundation of credibility, and credibility is the scaffolding of fear-based respect. The fifth and final principle is consistency. The feared leader must be predictable in their standards, even if they're strict. If people don't know how you'll react, they don't fear you. They resent you. They see you as unstable, volatile, and volatility breeds mutiny. You must be the same force in every room, with every person. This means that if you say no to disrespect once, you say no every time. If being late is unacceptable, it's unacceptable for everyone, including your favorites. Inconsistency makes people question your integrity. Consistency makes them trust your strength. At work, this could mean enforcing the same rules across the board, no matter who breaks them. In relationships, it means standing by your values, even when emotions are high. Remember, keep watching, because in just a moment, I'm going to show you the single rule that Machiavelli said, if broken, will cause your entire empire, real or metaphorical, to collapse. Now let's talk about the modern Machiavellian, someone who understands this art and uses it in today's world. You don't have to be a prince or a CEO to apply these ideas. You can be a freelancer, a teacher, a creator, a student. In your career, you build fear-based respect by refusing to be the yes person. You don't bend to every request. You set high standards. You enforce deadlines. You let people feel the weight of disappointing you. In your social life, you say no more often. You don't over-explain. You let your absence speak louder than your presence. And in your personal growth, you hold yourself to a higher standard than anyone else does. Because when others see you, they assume you won't be lenient with them. Machiavelli once wrote, "Men love at their own will, but fear at the will of the feared." That is power. When you become the one who sets the emotional terms, the expectations, the tone, you no longer chase respect, you command it. But before we close, there's one more thing Machiavelli said you should never do. One rule that, if broken, will destroy your power faster than anything else. That rule is inconsistency. The feared leader must be predictable in their standards, even if they're harsh. If people don't know how you'll react, they don't fear you, they resent you. They see you as unstable, volatile, and volatility breeds mutiny. We've seen this time and again throughout history. Leaders who were feared but lost control because they became erratic. Napoleon, toward the end of his reign, began making rash decisions, emotional choices, and his generals lost faith. His enemies capitalized. His image crumbled. The same can happen in business, politics, and even family. Your power lies in your ability to be both strong and steady, predictable in your enforcement, unshaken in your standards. And now we arrive at the final lesson, the shift I promised you at the beginning. Here it is. You can either be liked for who you are, or respected for what you make others become. The art of being feared isn't about domination. It's about understanding the psychology of influence and using it with precision. Whether you're leading a team, protecting your peace, or building a legacy, this ancient wisdom gives you the edge. You don't need to be cruel. You just need to be clear. Because when people know not to cross you, they rarely do. And when they do, you'll already know what to do next. So the next time someone overlooks you, underestimates you, or disrespects you, just smile. Because now you know the art they fear the most. The art of being feared.